The new Mantis X10 firearms performance system has all the goodness of the original, plus holster draw analysis and recoil analysis. It's a fantastic upgrade and I recommend it highly.
Hey guys, welcome to Dry Fire Mantis Mondays. Working on some dry fire practice. I'm Brian Hill with Complete Combatant, and I'm bringing you a new video today. We're going to talk about a basic that oftentimes doesn't get enough diagnostic value, which means when you're having problems, it's so easy for somebody to say you're slapping the trigger, you're not gripping the gun hard enough, or you're not seeing the sights. Most people tend to work from the gun backwards, but as a lifelong martial arts coach, athletic coach, strength and conditioning coach, I check the body first. I check the person first, and then I start checking their interface with the equipment. And one thing we see a lot of is poor posture. America's full of poor posture right now. All of us are sitting way too much. It's hard to stand up straight, and we've kind of lost the ability to feel what it's like to move with fluidity in our own body, to feel relaxed and strong. This is also a good way that predators gauge your ability to fight back, is how much confidence you exude through your posture. Some people say stance, some people say platform, some people say posture. I believe that it starts with the feet, works its way up through the joints sequentially, and then the posture ends with the interface with the gun at your grip. So your whole body is gripping the gun. When I see a problem with somebody's posture, it's not because I see automatically that their head's out of place. Well, that's a big part of it, or their hips are out. But you'll see it on the target also. The target will talk to you. So my wonderful artwork here, drew some artwork for you guys. If I see a lateral stringing of shots from right to left for no apparent reason, or I see it up and down, that's usually posture. All right, because what's happening is you're getting an oscillation in your movement, and your body's unable to resist the forces that's being applied to it, so it gets worse as time goes on. Okay, and you could improve your grip, and you could address the trigger differently, and you could see the sights better. And for one shot, it won't really affect you, but especially if you're running multiple shots, somewhere in a group of 3 to 6 or more, build drills really show this. You'll see a lot of stringing in that, and I want you to go ahead and check your posture. And it's something that you should be doing in your dry practice every day. So let's talk about a great way to make posture. Everybody's built a little differently, and there are many different shapes of hips. Some of us squat with our toes out, some of us squat with our feet forward, some of us deadlift differently. So we've got to take into account some differences between people. But what I would like you to do is find where you're strong from right to left, and then also strong to front to back. The width is not nearly as important until it becomes a problem. So if you get too narrow or too wide, then it becomes a problem. But front to back is where most of the forces are coming to us for fighting. So when I'm teaching somebody to strike, what we do is create a sequential motion that starts with the foot, the knee, the hips, the core, shoulders, elbows, and wrist, and all that lines up. Now the head is really important for us because that's how we're going to see best. And if we crane our head forward and we drop our head and we look through the top part of our eyes, we have less sight ability there. There's less neurons connected to that part of the eye, and also it creates a lot of optical strain. And one of my clients the other day had some new glasses, and when you look through the top or the bottom or the sides, there was actually some bending of it, so there's some parallax going on. So you can really change it. So we want to see through here where we're really strong. So part of that is getting ourselves in a good stance. Now we don't want to lock everything out, because then we would be a stick person, and it's easy to move the stick person. We do it in jiu-jitsu and wrestling all the time. Somebody who's got too much tension and locks up, they're easy to push around. But somebody who gets too low and too crouched out tends to pendulum. So we see this in shooting a lot. I'm going to go sideways. So the arms lock out here, the head goes forward, and then the hips have to come back. And then they say, well, my nose is over my toes, which it certainly is, but your posture is also broken. So whatever weight that you put forward is also being pressed back. So what you'll see as they shoot is they pendulum back and forth like this. This is where we get a lot of vertical stringing. Now, lateral stringing comes usually from the rear hip or the front hip. So if my back foot is turned out, maybe in a Weaver-esque style, okay, when I shoot, the path of least resistance is through that back shoulder. So the gun goes back and forth, like this. So I'm getting a lot more movement than I should. So I'd simply suggest doing this. Get shoulder wide and get long enough, and then close your eyes and feel it. Open your feet, grip the floor, put everything in proper position. Now, shift your weight forward slightly and you should have excellent posture. We call the technique tone. It is in between tension and relaxation. There should be a nice tone of feeling of preparedness, of relaxed alertness in the body so that you're ready to move. Because remember, the stance is going to allow us to not control but manage recoil. It's going to allow us to move. It's going to allow us to come back always to the same spot, which will become our natural point of aim. Really need to work on that. How do I stand naturally? Where do my eyes and hands line up? And I'm going to show you a great drill for that. So here's my good stance for me, maybe a little bit different from you. How will you know if it's not good? Well, the target will tell you. Okay? And you also see it in dry fire. When you go to press the trigger, you may see a right left movement, or you might see you kind of rocking back and forth. I see a lot of, as everybody's prepping the trigger, a lot of rock back and forth. We're always going to be in motion, but that oscillation should be in a pretty controlled area. It shouldn't be very long. All right, let me get my HK VP9 out there. It is empty. I'm also using some dummy rounds right now for this particular drill. Okay, all right, still dummy rounds, and the gun is loaded now with dummy rounds. Going back to the holster. So as I practice this, what I want to do to check my posture is I'm going to stand and get everything lined up with the target, and I'm going to get the best posture I can. I'm also going to try to put my shoulders back and down instead of forward. When my shoulders go forward, my elbows go out. Creates a lot of tension. If you do a lot of practice, you're going to get shooter's elbow. So I want my shoulders down. I want my knees bent. I want my feet to grip the floor. I want my hips to point forward. I want my shoulders to point forward. This is a good fighting stance for me. This is a good athletic stance. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to draw the gun from here. Now, if the gun comes straight to the target, then I have a pretty good stance. Okay? Pretty good stance. So now I'm going to check it a little bit further to make sure I didn't guide it with my sights to get it straight on the target. So I'm going to close my eyes. All right, so now I have a little bit of bias to the left. Okay? I could simply say I wasn't gripping the gun hard enough, but if I look down, I'm just going to bring my toes in just a little bit and see if that makes a difference, and I'm going to turn them the direction I want to go. Now I'm going to square up my hips, and that came straight to the light in the camera. So I've got a pretty good stance there. I can practice drawing with my eyes closed, and then it'll give me my posture equivalent as I do it. Now, when you're practicing multiple shots, hold the gun where it is and just practice moving. I should see some movement in the sights, but I shouldn't see a lot of up and down and right and left. Just a little circle, because that's what I'm doing with my finger, and that means I have a pretty good stance. So posture is really important for us. We need to practice it in our dry practice. Appendix guys tend to get in a posture like this because we're always pushing our hips out to get the gun away. I can almost tell who's carrying appendix now because we end up shooting more like this. What I want you to try to do is get your shoulders over your core, which is all the muscles from the knees to the shoulders. Press down into your pelvis, get your pelvis under you, get your knees under you, get your feet ready, all right, and get your body lined up. And I want you to put your elbows down because they become shock absorbers, and I want you to put your wrist in a straight position. And then practice drawing from here and seeing that come out in the gun. Put it back, relax, close your eyes, see how it looks each time. Practice that posture. You'll also notice that if you're out of posture, you're going to need to step after you shoot. You're going to feel like you're leaning or falling in that direction. Guys, this is a really overlooked basic. I don't hear people talk about it a lot, but this is our recoil control. That gun should come back to the same spot. In precision shooting, we call it natural point of aim. We get behind the gun, we shoot, the gun comes right back to where it was. It's the same thing in pistol shooting. We only have less contact in it, so our natural point of aim should be here. The gun should rise and come back down. One of the great things about the red dot, and you can do it with the iron sights, it's just more difficult, is you're going to see the dot come up and down, up and down. So that means you have pretty good control right now. You're pretty much riding that, managing that recoil. It comes up and down. But if I see it go off to a direction, well, I can increase pressure with this hand, but I also can turn my feet towards the target. This is the culprit a lot of times. When you're shooting left, interestingly enough, when you hit, what happens is the body rotates and you rotate back too far. Over rotate, rotate back too far. So posture is the key ingredient. Get a good platform, get a good stance. I really don't care what you call it, but you need to be in alignment. If you're not familiar with how the body works, this can be a very daunting task because a lot of us walk around with our shoulders up and our head forward and our hips out. So what feels natural to you is not posture because it's not strong. What we want to do is things that make us feel so that we have the strength of the technique. How would I do a pull-up? How would I do a push-up? How would I do a squat? How can I do the deadlift? All right. How could I run in a good posture? And the more we get indicated to the front, more resistance we have. As fighters, if we can keep our head in a good posture and just tuck our chin, much more resistant to concussion, because if you stick your chin out like this and you roll your neck and somebody punches you, it's much easier to put you unconscious in that position. So get good posture, allow your vision to get the best vision you can. And remember, we've got a lot of blood flow going into the brain, so the less that we strain and push our neck, the better we're going to see. And that's important. Get through the strong part of your eyes. Make sure all your joints line up sequentially. So start with the feet, then go to the knees, go to the hips, check the shoulders, check the elbows, check the wrist, and then get the head in front of the gun so that you can see exactly what you're doing. Practice with your eyes closed. See if you can get that draw to come to the same spot. There are 3 drills you can do with your eyes closed. So number 1 is this. I just aim at the target and I close my eyes and I press the trigger. And then I look to see if the sight moved. Now mine tilted up just slightly. So I'm going to check my posture again. I'm going to put a little weight forward. Okay. Now I've got everything lined up. Close my eyes. Okay, it stayed right where it was supposed to, so that's good. Next one will be extended prep and press via Mike Seeklander. So I'm in this position, press and stop right before you prep the trigger. So mine was down just a little bit, so I want a little less pressure down. That was a little high, so now I've gone in between. Still a little high. New gun, working on the new gun, so here we go. That's pretty good. So now close my eyes. There it is. It's right to the sights. And then the other one is, of course, from the holster. Okay? Get your hands up, get it going, and then drive it right there. And it should be right to the sights. Close your eyes when you do it. Gun's unloaded. Safe direction. I'm just prepping the trigger. And I gotta tell you, that was a beautiful sight picture. What that does is give me confidence because I know that I have kinesthetic awareness. That means I know where things are pointed and I'm lined up with my target. And if I had to defend my life or I have to shoot for competition, what I'm doing is getting myself in a position and a posture of confidence so that I know that I can do what I'm about to do. I see a lot of people stand on the line like this and you ask them if they're ready and they say, I guess so. And that's not how you want to practice, guys. That's not how you want to practice for your fight. You want to start communicating in a nonverbal manner, that you're standing up straight, that you're strong, that you have good posture, and that you could do what needs to be done right now. That communicates to your mind what you accept and what you want to be not only probable and possible, but most likely. And that way when you draw the gun, it goes right to the target as you want it to. All right. Work on it, guys. I kind of feel like I'm giving you guys posture lessons. Hey, you kids, stand up straight. But it's that important. And I think it's overlooked all the time because it's hard to address if you don't have a background in strength and conditioning. You don't have a background postural analysis. It helps tremendously. There is some swing between this. You know, some people are going to be a little bit lower. Some people are going to be a little bit higher. But you've got to find, you'll find when you're strong, get those joints into strong positions, support them with muscles. Remember, our muscles is our armor, not our bones. Hold the bones in a position where you have structure. Once you have structure, you're going to see a big difference in your shooting, and that'll stop happening almost immediately. It's easy enough to fix. Work on it with your Mantis. You'll see it tracking up and down, and if you can get a good posture, you're going to see a lot less problem at the beginning of the prep of your trigger before you press it. All right, guys. Have a great day, and as always, I want you to measure, refine, and perform. I'm Brian Hill, the Complete Combatant, and this is Active Self-Protection Extra. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you can get all these great videos. Everybody on the staff is doing a tremendous job, and it's our pleasure to help you guys in any way we can. Thank you so much.